Good morning. Welcome to Community Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Sarah Reiling, one of the worship associates and part of the team that works to bring the worship services to you. We're glad that you're with us here today. Whether you're a member or a new visitor, we welcome you. Whether you are here in the sanctuary with us or you're watching online, may you find connection with us and nourishment for your spirit and mind. We welcome to our pulpit today Carrie Holley-Hurt from the Texas UU Justice Ministry. Here she is. Carrie will explore with us what it means to be unapologetically UU and why that matters so much right now. Carrie uses the pronouns she and her and is in her last year at Austin Presbyterian Theological Seminary. She's a candidate for the fellowship through the UUA and part of the Texas UUJM Speakers Guild. Carrie completed her chaplaincy internship at Del Seton in Austin and her internship at Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Church in Cedar Park. As the saying goes, Carrie was not raised a UU, but she got here as soon as she could. Unitarian Universalism has added depth and commitment to her activism, which includes working with TXUUJM against anti-LGBTQIA, anti-education, voting restrictions, and many other issues. Once again, please welcome Carrie.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm so grateful to be here on behalf of your Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry. As we enter into worship today, I want to pull our focus into this beautiful community for the hope that it gives all of us here and the hope that it will give those that come later. I want to use the words of Reverend Diana Worsnop to bring us into this place of worship. She writes, "Often people say that they love coming to a place where so many like-minded people. I know what they're saying, and I just think that they're not getting it quite right. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who think just like me. I want to be where people are practicing the beloved community, where I don't have to think alike just to be loved, to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion and justice, love and truth, though they have very different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things. I want to be with independent-minded people of good heart. I want to be with people who have many names and no name at all for God. I want to be with people who see me in goodness and dignity, who also see me in my failings and still love me. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to resolve it. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of Spirit. I want to be with people who covenant to be honest and engaged and kind, who strive to keep their promises and hold me to the promises I make. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts and their minds and their gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you."
Please welcome Carrie Holley-Hurt to this pulpit for her message, Unapologetically UU.
So I love being with UU congregations. It's my favorite thing to do. I mean, where do you get to go to an intentional community who is bent on creating a more just, a compassionate, and more respectful place in this world? We're not here because we all believe in a creed. We're not here because we all have some doctrine or deity that we believe in, but because we sincerely believe in the beloved community, that there should be a softer place for everyone. And I don't know about y'all, but that is a balm to my soul. And so on a Sunday morning, when I get to be with y'all, and especially new UUs I've never met, yes, please. But it's kind of a fluke that I'm here. You see, I was raised fundamentalist Christian in West Texas during the Satanic Panic, so very Satan and hell forward. When I left, I was in my early 20s and decided, no, thank you, I will not be taking that shame anymore. And I allowed that big church hole in my heart to be filled with social justice. And that was great. But a little hopeless, to be quite honest. But I kept that way for many years. I got to sleep in on Sunday mornings. It was great. And then one day, a friend of mine told me that her church was going to have a petition to ask the school district to be kind to queer kids. A novel concept indeed, right? And of course, I'm a Unitarian Universalist, but don't know it. So I wake up on a Sunday morning to go sign a petition at a church. And I'm thinking, I'm going to go in, I'm going to sign the petition, I'm getting out. I have no idea what a Unitarian Universalist is. My friend who is one tells me nothing. So I go in and I'm signing, and I hear the most interesting music. It turns out I was there on what they called at the time Big Gay Sunday. And it was Hedwig and the Angry Inch music playing. And I was like, what kind of Christians are these? So I go in, and the minister is queer. So instantaneous healing on my part. And not only is he queer, but he is talking about things that have been weighing so heavy on my heart. He is talking about systems of supremacy and how they harm us all, and how our job and our responsibility is to work against them. Oh, I fell in love hard. I mean, clearly it's like changed the entire trajectory of my life, because here I am with y'all this morning. So I'm here, and it's a fluke. And that's a problem. Because, y'all, the stakes are too high. People are facing marginalization and oppression and isolation at rates that are unprecedented. Because of this last session and the 4 special sessions, trans kids cannot get gender-affirming care in their state. Because the governor's directive still stands, gender-affirming care can be treated as child abuse, and parents can be investigated and potentially have their children taken away. People who are undocumented because of the 4th special session are now at greater risk of being over-policed and having antagonistic relationships with the police. So women who are facing domestic violence, or anyone facing domestic violence, is going to really hesitate, if not completely not go for help. Asylum seekers may not even be able to get onto U.S. soil to seek asylum. And 2024 is the presidential election year. I mean, I just feel heavy saying all of that, right? So people are being targeted for marginalization, are being oppressed, and our current Attorney General says, or Surgeon General says, that people are facing unprecedented amounts of disconnection, which lead to physical and mental crises. Everyone is hurting. Everyone is hurting. And we have this beautiful community that believes in something more just and more compassionate and more respectful. So what are we going to do? Well, we don't have to recreate the wheel, so that's good, right? I take my marching orders from these words. Now, in the middle of the last century, a Universalist minister, Reverend Alfred Cole, was writing a biography about the Universalist minister John Murray, the person who brought universal salvation to the Americas. And he imagined that he must have been given these marching orders by Spirit. And he wrote, "Go out into the highways and the byways of America, your new country. You may possess only a small light, but uncover it. Let it shine. Use it in order to bring more light and more understanding to the hearts and minds of men and women. Give them not hell, but hope and courage. Do not push them deeper into their theological despair, but preach the kindness and everlasting love of God." We could update that. The language and the theology isn't really in alignment with us anymore, but it's pretty good, right? And for me, it's pretty convicting. Like really convicting. Like I feel convicted. And I'm wondering, are any of you starting to go, is this lady I've never heard before? She's suggesting that possibly I be evangelical about my religion? Yeah, like 100%. That is exactly my argument for this sermon. I want us to be evangelical about our religion. The stakes are too high not to be, honestly. And now I'm not talking about taking your hardbound Mary Olivers and your soapbox and going to a strip mall and preaching the good news of Unitarian Universalism. That would be weird and probably really ineffective. And I'm not talking about doing it the way it's always been done. Because let's face it, being evangelical, mission and evangelism, all of these words that we have is tied to imperialism and white supremacy. It's tied to people who think they know better, they have some divine connection, and they know how you should live your life. And I don't think any of us want a part of that. So no, thank you. Also, I'm a proper pluralist, and I don't think everybody needs to be a you. But some of us do, and we don't know it yet. Also, let's face it, we and progressive Christians have pulled out of the game a long time ago, and that created a vacuum. And what filled up that vacuum was Christian nationalism. And so anytime we talk about religion in this country, that's what most people think of. Like, you will never meet anyone who will disassociate from that quicker than me. I'm a seminarian, but like, I'm really cool. Or I'm going to be a minister, but like totally not one of those kinds of ministers. So I get it. We do not want to be associated with what we have right now that represents religion in this country. And yet the fact that it represents religion in this country, I think that says something about us that we need to really reflect on. And then there's also, unique to this community, what happened this summer. I remember exactly where I was when I heard about what happened to y'all. I remember exactly what I was looking at. And I remember how my heart broke for y'all. For violence to come into your sacred space. It's not okay. And I could understand if that caused any hesitation to be out loud, to be evangelical about your faith. But I also know you have something really special and really beautiful to share with this world. The fact that y'all met that Sunday, y'all impacted so many more people than I bet you will ever know. You highlighted to us what community means, a glimpse at what beloved community means by coming together, by holding on to one another. Don't you know that's what the world needs? Do I say that to say, I don't know I don't know exactly what it looks like for y'all to be more visible, to be more evangelical about the good thing we have going on. But I do have a couple ideas. The first is that we have to internalize our UU identity. We have to recapture that vacuum that we leave. I have a parishioner who said, I used to say I go to a Unitarian Universalist church. And then over the years, she started to call herself a Unitarian Universalist. And that connection to her identity changed things for her. It motivated her to go to the protest and go to the Capitol. And she would go to the Capitol and she would show up and she would say, I'm a Unitarian Universalist, and these gender-affirming care bans, these horrible attacks on undocumented people, these book bans, these school vouchers, these whatever level of hell they had concocted that day, it's against my religion. She was reclaiming that space that we seceded so long ago. They don't get to be the only ones that claim religion or faith. So we have to internalize our identity. And then, where people are targeted for oppression and marginalization, we show up. We put on our yellow Side with Love shirts and we go. We go to the school boards, even if we don't have kids, because education affects every single one of us. We go to the city council. We go to libraries where maybe bad people are trying to make drag queens go away. We go to the Capitol, or we call our legislators, or we call our congressmen and women. We go to Action Hour. We show up. We get visible. And when we do that, really amazing things happen. A whole session and 4 special sessions, and because of us and others like us, we killed that stupid school voucher bill. For now. Keep working. There you go. Thank you for that. There were over 100 bad bills that targeted the LGBTQIA plus community, and over 95% of them failed. That's not nothing. And to me, the coolest thing is that because we are showing up, because Texas UU Justice Ministries is becoming more sophisticated and partnering, and we are partnering with our other organizations to do UU the Vote, we are having a really beautiful, outsized impact. I want to read to you what Ricardo Martinez, he's the CEO of Equality Texas. They're one of our partners. He's also like the most amazing human in the world. But he wrote this about us. He said, "We went into session hoping that we would have vocal allies, dependable collaborators willing to do the work, and moments that anchored us in joy. With Tex UGEM's involvement, we've had all of those and then some. I have been profoundly moved by just how often your folks mobilize. I know this was a hard session for everyone, but if we succeeded at something big, it was to bring our various movements closer together. This session would not have gone the way it did had it not been for your help. We are eternally grateful for our extended UU family." Now, we are making impacts. We are building coalitions. We are getting our name out there. We are taking back that space that we have seceded. And we just got to do this more and more and more, because it is a long game. Most of us, all of us probably, will not see the fulfillment of the beloved community. But we do the work anyways, because we're called to do that work. But if you're like me, you might be a little impatient. And it's not always easy just to work for a future you might not see. So I want to leave you with what I think is the real good news. And that is, when we are showing up, we are touching people, the people that are being harmed in the here and now, okay? In 2021, the session 2021, it was a hard session. I was one of those people that was up at the Capitol constantly because my family was under attack. And now it was the pandemic, and tech fusion was not as sophisticated as it was now. And I felt so lonely and so isolated. I saw those yellow shirts every once in a while. But this last session, y'all, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. To know that people who had no stakes in the legislation that was being proposed were coming or were calling, that they cared about me and my family, I can't tell you how deeply healing and nourishing that was. And that's what we do for other people when we stand up, even when we don't win, even when elections go the way we'd rather them not, or bills get passed that we would rather not get passed. Those people that are targeted for marginalization, those people that they want to feel alone and scared as if no one is coming from them, they see us and they know that that's not true. They know that people care about them, that are fighting for them and will continue to fight for them. Because our work, y'all, is to give them hope and not hell. May it always be so.
Thank you, Carrie, for that inspiring message.